Hi, class. So I want to give you some feedback on the essays that I read this week, and I passed back to you for essay number 1. So a lot of you, first of all, have there's a few of you, or there's a certain amount of you. I don't know the number right now, but you need to look at rules for writers, and you need to look in the section on MLA, which is all on, it starts on page, sorry. So the whole section on MLA starts on page 391, writing papers in MLA style. And whether you've got the ebook or the regular book, you need to follow MLA format. Now, many of you did not follow the correct works cited. The works cited page is on page 475. Notice that it's in alphabetical order, and everything is indented 5 spaces. This is how your works cited page should look. So many of you did not do this, and when you don't do this, you do lose points on your paper. By now you should have read the whole chapter on MLA, and you should format your paper correctly. So formatting your paper is one way to do very well on your paper. So please make sure before you turn in your paper that it's formatted correctly using MLA guidelines. Now, if you are having difficulty following the guidelines, or you need assistance and tutoring following those guidelines, please make sure that you go to the Writing Center and they will assist you. I have a link for that in the 0 module so that you can go and get help for your paper. Also, one other point that many of you consistently had difficulty with is creating a thesis statement. So I do have a video in the module 1 on how to create a thesis statement. So a thesis statement answers a question, but it is not a question. And not only does it answer a question, but it makes a bold statement that takes on a position of 2 people or more can argue about. So a thesis statement has to be an arguable statement. It could be something very thought-provoking, and it could lead to 2 sentences if you want to write 2 sentences. But there were many papers where there was no thesis. You just went straight on arguing your points, but you didn't have that one sentence to link all your ideas together. The reason why I have you turn in an outline with your paper is so that in the outline you can have your thesis as well. And there were many outlines without a thesis. So that thesis statement has to be in your paper, and it has to be stated. It's not a question, it's a statement, and it's a statement that could be arguable with 1 to 2 people. So think about that, like a group of people. One person could say, yes, I agree with that, and another person could say, no, I don't agree with that. That's an arguable statement. So when you're putting together your papers, please make sure to look for that thesis statement. When you're putting together your outline, please make sure that your outline also includes your thesis statement. Some of you thought you had a thesis and you had like a paragraph written. A thesis is not a paragraph. It's either 1 to 2 sentences that answers a question, and it's arguable. So think about that. You might want to revisit the video in module 1 on how to put together a thesis. And if you are still having difficulty putting your thesis together, you could go to the Writing Center to get help with your thesis as well. And reread your paper several times to see if you do have a good, strong thesis. Oftentimes, your thesis will not come to you until you finish writing your paper. So most of us don't sit and write a thesis and then write the paper. We write the paper first, and then we think of what the thesis is going to be. And that's really easy. You just go back in there and you put the sentence in. So ask yourself before you turn in your paper, does this follow MLA format correctly? Does it look like the sample in the book? And do I have a nice, strong, arguable thesis? So these are some of the things that I want you to think about as you move forward for writing essay number 2. Okay, bye-bye.